Hello! Pizza Packs here, and we're back with Throwback Thursday, episode number 55. Today we have, from Worlds, San Francisco 2004, the deck played by Aeo Paquette. Aeo Paquette finalist. Professional Magic player Aeo Paquette played the deck that defined the metagame in the 2004 World Championships. With more than 40 artifacts, his Affinity deck uses the power of Arcbound Ravager and Disciple of the Vault to race to victory. So let's get into this and see what Aeo Paquette played more than 20 years ago to make it to the finals. All right. Nice double seal. Right. All right. Aeo Paquette's Affinity deck, main deck. Let's see if we can get that to focus a little better. 4 Arcbound Ravager from Darksteel. 4 Arcbound Worker from Darksteel. 4 Disciple of the Vault from Mirrodin. 4 Frogmite from Mirrodin. 4 Ornithopter from Mirrodin. And 2 Somber Hoverguard from Mirrodin. Interesting enough, we don't see the Mirror Enforcer that we usually expect to see with Affinity decks at this point. Spells: 4 Chrome Mox from Mirrodin, 4 Cranial Plate from Fifth Dawn. Oh, Cranial Plate's so good. 4 Shrapnel Blast from Mirrodin, 4 Thoughtcast from Mirrodin, 4 Welding Jar from Mirrodin. Then for the lands, we have 3 Blinkmoth Nexus from Mirrodin, or from Darksteel, 3 Glimmer Void from Mirrodin, 4 Great Furnace from Mirrodin, 4 Seat of the Synod from Mirrodin, and 4 Vault of Whispers from Mirrodin. And for our sideboard, we have 4 Annul from Mirrodin, 4 Furnace Dragon from Darksteel, 4 Seething Song from Mirrodin, and 3 Serum Visions from Fifth Dawn. Very nice. Having a strange look at Affinity compared to the modern build. Let's see. Collect all 4 World Championship decks. Relive the excitement of the 2004 World Championships with these 4 commemorative decks. Julian Nguyen, World Champion. At just 15 years old, Julian is the youngest ever Magic the Gathering World Champion. He came out of nowhere to stun the field with green-white Astral Slide that gains tremendous card advantage from Eternal Witness. Aeo Paquette. So this week, we'll be opening Julian's deck next week. Finalist, professional player Aeo Paquette played the deck that defined the metagame of the 2004 World Championships. With more than 40 artifacts, his Affinity deck uses the power of Arcbound Ravager and Disciple of the Vault to race to victory. Then we have Manuel Bevand, semi-finalist. We covered his deck last week. Pro Tour veteran Manuel Bevand's artifact-based combo deck uses the Karate Clan Ironworks to quickly get a Mirror Incubator into play, then creates 30 or more 1/1 Mirror creatures, sometimes as early as the 3rd turn. It's a fun deck, too. And then Gabriel Nassif, old yellow hat, quarterfinalist. Gabriel Nassif's performance at Worlds earned the Parisian the coveted 2004 Player of the Year award. Designed to beat the ubiquitous Affinity decks, his counter-heavy blue-white control deck performed well against the entire field. So, let's jump over to the sideboard first. We have Aeo Paquette, finalist. Professional Magic player Aeo Paquette played the deck that defined the metagame at the 2004 World Championships, Affinity. Against a field full of decks designed to beat Affinity, this 19-year-old Canadian piloted his fast beatdown deck to a 5-1 record during the standard portion of the tournament. Paquette credits his friend Jeff Cunningham for helping him design an Affinity deck that could compete so well against the format. Or against the field, rather. So let's see what we have. We have a Null. This is the Mirrodin printing. Originally printed in Urza's Saga, if I remember correctly. For blue, it's an instant. Counter target artifact or enchantment spell. Art by Brian Snowdy. Just such a great one. Yep. We have 4 copies of a null. Except Furnace Dragon, art by Matthew D. Wilson. From Dark Steel, it's 6 red, red, red for a 5/5 dragon with affinity for artifacts and flying. When it comes into play, if you played it from your hand, remove all artifacts from the game. We have 4 copies of Furnace Dragon. That is one of your best anti-affinity cards. Except Seething Song, art by Martina Pilsarova. This is the Mirrodin printing. It's a 2/4 instant that adds 5 red to your mana pool. So red, 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 red. We have 4 copies of Seething Song. Funny enough, pretty sure that's legal in Pauper. Almost never see it played anymore, though. And then we have Serum Visions, art by Ben Thompson. This is the 5th Dawn printing. For blue, it's a sorcery. Draw a card, scry 2. Very nice. And we have 3 copies of Serum Visions, filling out our sideboard. Right. Yeah. Now for the main deck, we have Arcbound Ravager, art by Carl Critchlow. This is from Dark Steel. It is a 2-mana artifact creature that's a 0/0 and has modular 1, so it comes into play with a +1/+1 counter on it. And when it's put into a graveyard, you may put its +1/+1 counters on target artifact creature, and then sacrifice an artifact to put a +1/+1 counter on Arcbound Ravager. This thing just grows and grows and grows. Such a great card. Defined multiple metagames. Like, it was a meta-defining card in Standard and Extended. It has been in Modern, although it has fallen out of favor in the last few years. Also, Hardened Scales, like, a ton of different decks have used Arcbound Ravager. We have 4 copies of it here. Next up, Arcbound Worker. It's one of those weird cards that doesn't really look like it does much, but it was one of the better things to play at the time. Arcbound Worker with art by Daryl Ritchie from Dark Steel. So 1-mana artifact creature that's a 0/0 with modular 1. So it basically equals 2 +1/+1 counters for your Arcbound Ravager. It's good for powering out your affinity stuff because it just costs a colorless. And it's a 1/1. We have 4 copies. Except we have Disciple of the Vault, which adds kind of a combo element to this deck. Art by Matt Thompson. This is the Mirrodin printing. For a black, you get a 1/1 human cleric with whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from play, including your... So that's any graveyard. Not just your graveyard, any graveyard. You may have target opponent lose 1 life. So there's some interesting active player, non-active player stuff that happens with this in the mirror. But also it shuts down a lot of sack loops. There was a deck that used KCI and Mirror Retriever that this just shut down at the time. But yeah, a card that was so good it ended up getting banned in Standard, I believe. But we have 4 copies of Disciple of the Vault. Next up, Frogmite, art by Therese Nielsen. This is a Mirrodin printing for 4. So for 4 mana, you get a 2/2 artifact creature with affinity for artifacts. Most of the time, this little guy is free. It's not that hard to get 4 artifacts in play in this deck, even on turn 1. So we have 4 copies of Frogmite. Except Ornithopter. This is the Mirrodin printing with art by Dana Knutson. It's a 0-mana, 0/2 artifact creature with flying. When this originally came out in Antiquities, I knew people that thought this was the most busted card ever. It's good. I don't know about the most broken card ever, but there are much more broken things in Antiquities. Yeah. Feeds your Frogmites, feeds your Arcbound Ravager, Because your not skull clamp, that was already banned at this point. Your what is it? Your cranial platings. Gosh, I don't know why I couldn't think of that. And it's one of the best things to equip your cranial platings onto and put your Arcbound Ravager counters onto. We have 4 Ornithopters. Next up we have Somber Hoverguard. Art by Adam Rex. This is the Mirrodin printing. 5 and a blue for a 3/2 drone with affinity for artifacts and flying. 1 mana 3/2 flyer seems kind of good. At least that's what I'm told by the Delver of Secrets players. So, we have 2 copies of Somber Hoverguard. Except Chrome Mox, so good it was preemptively banned in Modern. This has art by Donato Giancola. It's the Mirrodin printing. So for 0, it's an artifact that comes into play with Imprint. When it comes into play, you may remove a non-artifact, non-land card in your hand from the game. The removed card is imprinted on this artifact. Tap, add 1 mana of any color Tap, add 1 mana of any of the imprinted card's colors to your mana pool. Still sees tons of play in Legacy, occasionally pops up in Vintage. Still banned in Modern, I think. Did they unban Chrome Mox? No, they unbanned Mox Opal. That's what it was. Chrome Mox, just absolutely stellar mana acceleration. And it is a Mox after all. We have 4 copies. Next up, Cranial Plating from 5th Dawn. Art by Adam Rex. It's a 2 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control. So it does count itself. So you always have at least +1/+0. And then black, attach Cranial Plating to target creature you control. That is that instant speed. Most people don't realize that. They think it's just another equip ability, but it is an instant speed ability. Then you have Equip 1. So for 1, you can attach it to target creature you control. Equip only as a sorcery. So equipping and attaching are 2 different things. But this is one of the best cards in this deck, by and large. Still occasionally sees play in Modern. Banned in Pauper at this point, if I remember correctly. Except we have Shrapnel Blast from Mirrodin, art by Dave Dorman. 1 in a red, instant. It's an additional cost to play Shrapnel Blast, sacrifice an artifact, and then it deals 5 damage to target creature or player. This is one of your ways of closing out the game if your creatures are getting killed or if the ground is filled up. It's just a good way to punch through. Very powerful burn spell. We have 4 copies of Shrapnel Blast. Except Thoughtcast still sees a lot of play in Pauper and Legacy. Still sees play in Modern. This is from Mirrodin, art by Greg Hildebrandt. 4 and a blue sorcery. Affinity for artifacts. So most of the time you're just paying a blue for this. Draw 2 cards. We have 4 copies of Thoughtcast. And Welding Jar. One of the reasons why you can get your Frogmites out so fast, because you have 12 0 mana artifacts, if I remember correctly. Yeah, you have Ornithopter, Welding Jar, and Chrome Mox, and then you have, of course, your artifact lands. Like half your deck, 3 artifacts, basically. But from Mirrodin, art by Mark Brill. It's a 0 mana artifact. Sacrifice it, regenerate target artifact. Great way of keeping your Arcbound Ravager or Ornithopter with tokens, or not tokens, counters alive. Except Blinkmoth Nexus. You've probably heard of Inkmoth Nexus, might not have heard of Blinkmoth Nexus. This was our super crazy manland for Affinity back in the day. From Darksteel, art by Brian Snowdy. Tap for a colorless, and then for 1, it becomes a 1/1 Blink Moth artifact creature with flying until end of turn. It's still a land. And then 1 and tap. Target Blink Moth gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So it's very similar to Mishra's Factory in that it is a colorless artifact creature that is very difficult to get rid of. And it pumps other copies. And on top of this one has flying. We have 1, 2, 3 copies of Blink Moth Nexus. Next up, Glimmer Void. One of the best lands in the deck. It is your catch-all land from Mirrodin, art by Lars Grant West. It's a land that at the end of your turn, if you control no artifacts, you sacrifice, but tap to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Very, very nice. We have 1, 2, 3 copies of Glimmer Void. Next up, Great Furnace. Sees tons of play in the formats that it is legal. Still banned in Modern. It was one of the, I think, 15 cards that were preemptively banned. 6 of them are in this. No, not 6. 6 are not in this deck. Several of them are in this deck, but 6 of them are cards from this set. It was Chrome Mox and then the 5 colored artifact lands. We have Great Furnace from Mirrodin, art by Rob Alexander. It is an artifact land. It is not a spell, and it taps for a red. We have 4 copies of Great Furnace. We have Seat of the Synod, which is my favorite of the artifact lands. From Mirrodin, art by John Avon. It is an artifact land that taps for a blue. We have 4 copies of Seat of the Synod. And then, last but not least, we have Vault of Whispers, which goes along with the Disciple of the Vault. That is where the Vault comes from. From Mirrodin, it has art by Rob Alexander. It is an artifact land that taps for a black. We have 4 copies. Very nice. Well, that was Aeo Paquette's Finalist deck. That is Affinity. Variations of this deck are still played in Pauper and were played in Modern for quite some time. It's fallen off a bit in Modern, but it is still a pretty good deck there too. It has kind of morphed into hardened scales, but you can see how the more current decks have evolved from this. But very nice. All right, well, thank you for joining me on this adventure. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff for the algorithm. It really helps us out, and I really appreciate it. And until next time, stay awesome. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.